All right, I woke up this morning, had a comment from a subscriber asking me to go over this question. Great question, I love it. You gotta have a pretty strong understanding of a lot of different things in order to answer this question. You need to understand some stuff about perpendicular lines and their slopes. So let's break it down, make sure you can do a problem like this if you ever get asked. Line A passes through the point 4, -1. So they're giving me one coordinate and then 6, 4, another coordinate for one given line. Well, if I get 2 points, immediately, most of us algebra students, we were thinking, oh, we can find the slope of the line, right? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm gonna write that down right now before we get started. Remember, this is our slope formula. This is how we find slope of any given line if we're given 2 points. Okay, put that down. I might be using that. Line B is perpendicular to line A. So if I use the slope formula and figure out what my slope is, we know that perpendicular lines have to have a opposite reciprocal slope. For example, if I have a line that's going up 2 over 1, right? Up 2 over 1, the slope is 2 over 1. If I want to make a line that's perpendicular to that, that would make a 90-degree angle, right? This one would have to be opposite. It can't be a positive slope like this one is. It would have to be a negative, and it would have to be the reciprocal, meaning we flip the fraction. 2 over 1 would become 1 over 2. So two lines, if one has a slope of 2 over 1 and the other has a slope of -1 over 2, we know those lines are perpendicular. So we should already have known or been taught that if we're being asked a question like this. Okay, so we know what we're going to be looking for. Line B has to be perpendicular. So we'll just take whatever answer we get from these 2 points. We'll have to flip it and turn it into a negative if it was a positive, or vice versa. Line B is perpendicular to line A and intersects the y-axis at the point of 0. Ooh, they give me the y-intercept for the second line? That's great. Okay, I'm going to go over here. We're going to come up with a y equals mx plus b for both of these equations, but I already know my b for line B, because they tell me line B is perpendicular to line A and intersects the y-axis at the point of 0, 8. They just told you your y-intercept is 8. Our slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal of whatever we find from line A. Okay? All right, let's start. Let's find out line A's slope. So we're going to say 4 minus -1. So I'm just going to erase and replace. 4 minus -1. And then x2 minus x1. This is my second x. This is my first x. Remember, these are x, y coordinates. X, y coordinates. So I'm going to say 6 minus 4. Erase, replace. 4 minus a negative. Subtracting a negative is really adding. That's going to give you a 5. 6 minus 4 is going to give you a 2. So we know slope of line A is 5 over 2. Now, remember what we talked about with perpendicular lines. If the line B is perpendicular to line A, we need to take that, flip it, and change the sign. That's a positive. So our slope over here has to be a negative. Remember, this is for line B, which is perpendicular to line A. 5 over 2 needs to change to 2 over 5, and voila, we have our equation for line B. All right, so let's see here. Line A passes through the point 4, -1, 6, 4. Cool, we found the slope of it. Line B is perpendicular to line A. Well, if that's line A's slope, flip it and turn it from a positive to a negative. Flipped, and now it's a negative. Good. And intersects the y-axis at the point 0, 8. There's your y-intercept. So we have the entire equation. This is the entire equation, no issues, for line B. Okay? Find the point where line B intersects the x-axis. X-axis. What do we know about the x-axis? Let me draw a picture real quick. The x-axis is this line. So what do we know about it? Well, we know when we're on the x-axis, our y value is not 5. It's not 4. It's not 3. It's not 2. It's not 1. When you're on the x-axis, your y value, not 5, not 4, not 3, not 2, not 1, but you are at 0 for y. Okay, so think about that. If I have a dot right here, I said, hey, what's the coordinate? Let's just say you're 6 over 6, but your y value would be a 0. Same goes if your dot was right here. Maybe it's at 1, but your y value has to be a 0. So when we are on the x-axis, find the point where line B intersects the x-axis. That's telling us we can put a 0 in for y. I can replace the equation's variable for y with a 0. That's exactly what we're going to do to figure this out. So where would this cross the x-axis? I could go and mark 8, drop 2, run 5, down 2, over 5, down 2, over 5, down 2, over 5, and figure out way over here where we're going to cross. But I'm just going to use algebra to do that. We're going to say y equals negative 2/5 x plus 8. But we know that if we are on the x-axis, our y value is 0. So I'm going to change that to a 0. And then I'm going to solve. Two-step equation for us to solve. Let's take away 8. Boom, take away 8. Now I've got negative 8 equals negative 2/5 x. To get rid of a coefficient that's a fraction, you have to multiply by its reciprocal. Or its reciprocal. That's 5 over 2. That cancels this. This cancels that. Multiply the other side by 5 over 2. It's got to be a negative though. What's a negative times a negative? Positive. 5 times 8 is 40. So positive 40 over 2 is what we would get for x. 40 divided by 2 is 20. We would be crossing way over here at 20, 0. So to answer this question, line A passes through the point 4, negative 1, and 6, 4. Okay, slope is 5 over 2 of that line. Line B is perpendicular. Let's flip it and change the sign. Negative 2/5. And crosses at 0, 8. Hey, thanks for giving us the entire equation. I'm going to now use this equation, change my y to a 0, so I can solve and figure out where we're crossing on the x-axis. Final answer is 20, 0. Hopefully that helps. Study hard and good luck on your upcoming test. Great question. Thank you.